The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There's a place in Eretz Yisrael called the Bikat Hayardin. And there was a Yid, Reb Shlomo Zalman Grossman. Today is a Murda Asra in the new city called Elad. So he used to live over there, and he gave shurim over there. And he was talking about Shemitah. And he was talking about the importance of Bitachon and Shemitah, how they go hand in hand. No, one of the guys who came to the shir was a farmer. His name was Effie. It's like a shortcut in Eretz Yisrael for Ephraim. No, he was a wealthy guy. He was a capable guy. He was very despoiled from the Zach. He never heard such a Zach about Shemitah, work and and the thing grows. He got up and he said, Kvod Harav, if you promise me that the Pasuk is going to be fulfilled in me, I'm going to watch the Shemitah. I'm going to be ashamed of the Shemitah. If they call on Vaid. No, you have to know that the whole area of Bikat Hayarden is based on farmlands. And the Rav asked him, no, what are you going to do in Shemitah? Here, what will you do? So the guy thought for a minute, and then he's going to plan to learn some things he needs to learn about how to run a farm and to manage a farm. And I'm going to do that. No. So he said, I'm capable to keep Shemitah 100%, as long as you tell me that Hashem is going to definitely work for me. Now he said, I don't know one from Yid besides you, told the Rav. If the Rav is mechayev himself, the obligate, I'm not going to get damaged, I'm going to Shemayim, I'm going to have Parnasa, I'm going to be Shem Shemitah. No, Rav Grossman decided, he was afraid. He said, take the Achrayas, not take the Achrayas. He knows that some days hold Shemitah is only the Rabbanon, the Kivimekel, maybe the Havtoch is not Shayach. Decided, could he tell the guy a promise on his cheshbon? He decided, I better talk it over with somebody bigger than me. So he went to Rabbi Yashiv and told Rabbi Yashiv the story. Rabbi Yashiv said to him, you can't promise. Because some hold that the guarantee is only Gezakavarn to Klal Yisrael. It's not said to individuals. But one thing I tell you, you could mechayev yourself. You could be mechayev him that he's going to see a lot of siyata deshmaya, and that Hashem will definitely help. But that's going to be mechayev exactly what it says in the pasuk. That I can't tell you. No, if Grossman came back to Effie, and he tells him what the answer is, and he was sufrieden with the answer. He decided, I'm going to mechayev Shemitah kilchasa. This is a very dramatic Kabbalah. And the whole Bikat Hayarden, lots and lots of farmers there, they heard about it. And they laughed at him. They were mavazim. They said, the guy is a smart man. His heavy is not a shaita, you know what I mean? Let's do that. And friends came to him, they want to borrow his tractor, they want to borrow his... If you're not using him, all clay avoided, they want to borrow. The kids, he asked a shayla from the Rav, am I allowed to lend them all my kalim? He said, I have to ask. The Rav said, no, you can't help every Aveira. So he told his friends, they even get more upset. Because a lot of these machinery, they get on, it's like a lease. So they have to pay for them per year. And then just if they work, they at least make some money. These tractors sit empty. Kids, Shemitah came, the year passed, and at the end, of Tzayim Gedalia, the Rav and Effie sat down and they drank a little arak. Middle of Chaim. And then the Soyin, the major test that was concluded by Hatzlach. Now came the time to prepare the fields for the following year. The general custom was that they would put the Sachnut, the government, would provide all of the seeds for next year's crop as a loan to all the farmers. And at the end of the year, when they had their crop, they would pay back the government. But the time of the planting was very limited. And how much you could plant also was limited. When Effie arrived on the 4th of Tishrei to collect his seeds, they told him, you can't get seeds. The time of planting is already past. Time of planting already passed. Effie was shocked. What do you mean? He tried to make calls. He had connections. He tried this. What do you mean? His behavior from the last year didn't get him too many friends. And he said, oh boy, it's going to come another year that I'm not going to be... Last year I didn't plant with any seeds from the government. Now 2 years I'm not going to be able to plant. Finally he got to one friend that worked for the Sachnut, for the government. And the guy told him, Effie, the emes is that we don't really have any seeds left. Except for one seed. We have celery seeds. And the junky seeds. They're very not quality seeds. I don't give him much chance to produce a real crop. But instead of throwing him directly in the garbage, I don't care if I give them to you for free. Yeah, they're free. No, he had no brera. So he took all the celery seeds and he planted all his fields that he had with celery. It was an amazing amount of celery. It wasn't even... Everybody saw what's going on. What's this guy doing? Is he crazy? They heard about it. They were laughing. Suddenly, they were watching that field. Every place he put a celery seed produced celery. Kama v'kama pa'amim. Not stop. Nothing to do with proportion of the seeds. And at least 3 times what it would produce on a regular year, it produced. His field became so full of celery, not stop. Went over and it went high celery. Usually so it was low, it was high celery. Rav Grossman saw this amazing thing. He got himself started to get a little concerned about this amazing amount. Because it was so amount, you could have fed the whole Medina's Yisroel with the celery alone for 2 months. 2 months. So everybody asks, what in the world you can do with all the celery? What you do is you have a ton of celery, very nice, miracle celery. Effie answered with bitachon, I did mine, Hashem's now going to do his. So, one day, the Rav gets a phone call, and Effie asks him, could you please come to my house? I'm sorry to matriach the Rav, could you please come to my house? The Rav goes running over there, and Effie was sitting there with shining eyes, and he said, you're not going to believe this. The guy who last year gave me all those celery seeds calls me up and he says to me, Effie, do you remember all those celery seeds I gave you? Did you ever do anything with them or you just threw them out? He said, no, what I did anything with them, he says, I planted them and I'm eating celery, I'm breathing celery, I'm sleeping celery. I got a new name. I'm called Mr. Celery. He said, you have a lot of celery? He said, as much as you want, I can provide you. He said, excellent, he said. Right now, the price for celery is half a dollar. You can sell right now, up front, all your celery for $3. And if you push, you'll get $4. And if you push harder, you'll get $5 for every head of celery. He said, what? $5 for a head of celery? Whoever heard such a thing? It's not that, he says. In the last 2 weeks, Europe had a frost. The cold came in early, and all of their stuff froze. People are not going out of the house, and everybody wants to eat soup, but they can't find any celery to make the soup with. And in Europe, they're dying for celery. The whole entire produce, frozen. So there's a tremendous demand for celery. They said they're begging me, send celery. No? Effie, get all the workers you can find. As many as you can find. I'm going to get you, I'll arrange the airplanes. A fleet of airplanes, big ones, to send celery across the entire Europe. England, Holland, Belgium, France, wherever we just can, we're going to send it. Within a couple of days, they had hundreds of workers working in those fields. Yidden from the Bika, Arabs from the villages. They worked day and night for this great mivtza. All the trucks were waiting, these long trucks, and they took them straight to the airport, and from there they were shipped to Europe. No. When it came around the Yontif of Purim, the great sale was over. It's gone. No. Rav Grossman himself wanted to buy some celery for Pesach. He couldn't find one thing of celery left in Eretz Yisrael. This guy Effie became very wealthy. This guy Effie bought himself all brand new machines. And he called it, this is my Shvius Cadillac. That's what he called it. And he said, I'm doing this against all the pails of shame and embarrassment and booze that they poured upon me, in order to miskade Shem Shemayim, and they should see what's the end of Shmir Shemitah. No, at the end he even bought himself an Arabian horse for a very expensive price, and he also called it, it's not Arabian horse, it's my Shemitah horse. The Kiddush Shem Shemayim that he made was mamish, was publicized. Wherever if he went, he was machers, berabim. Look at the great prophet that people who keep Shemitah have. Later on, after the story, Effie the farmer decided to become more observant. And he became the scholar of Avinu Shebashamayim. Today, he's a Talmud Chacham who gives shirim berabim. That Yid who went against the stream, and b'schus of his Emunah Tmima, was zeicha to reach tremendous madregas atzumis. Unbelievable.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org